So, a very good morning, student. Once again, I welcome you all for the online lecture series on Geographic Information System. So, this is the course about the remote sensing and GIS और हम लोग अभी Geographic Information System के बारे में देख रहे हैं. So, let's start the part 3 of this Geographic Information System. तो अभी तक हमने Geographic Information System में बहुत सारे चीजें कवर कर ली हैं, right? Or in this lecture, we'll covering the remaining parts of this geographic information system. This is basically the introduction to the geographic information system. Last lecture में हमने special functions के बारे में देखा था. From this lecture, we will gain the knowledge about data visualization, right? So let's start with the data visualization part. So I hope this PPT is visible to all of you. So this PPT is about the data visualization. हम data visualization से क्या समझते हैं, ये चीज हमें समझनी पड़ेगी. Now coming back to GIS. So in GLG is a very important objective. In GIS it is very important objective is data visualization. So how do you visualize your data or how do you prepare your results? That makes your analysis more strong. So here you can see this is one of the maps prepared in GIS environment where you can see different layers are integrated together and you can see all the elements of a map. So here you have north and south arrow. This is your scale. Here it is your scale, right? These are the legends and here different color and textures are used to highlight the different components of this particular map. So let us understand more about these maps in GIS. So in maps के बारे में GIS में क्या इसका significance है उसको समझने के लिए हमें ये slide देखनी पड़ेगी. So here it is an informative 2D representation of 3D space. That is the basic definition of map. तो map का एक basic definition ये है, it is the informative 2D representation of 3D space. That is the definition of map. So we want to present our real world picture or object in 2D, right, on a plain paper. So it can be hard copy representation on a sheet or digital representation on a screen. So both are basically maps. Basic map characteristics tell the user what the object is and what is the object or attribute. So instead of writing all the values like it is high or low or medium or moderate, you can use different symbols, different texture or different way of the representing your data. So that is the beauty of your GIS environment. Map are equipped with the scale that you have already seen, legends, and are different onto a projection that helps in visualizing the curved surface of the earth on the flat surface of a paper or a screen. So this is very important as we are working in GIS. So spatial data is always there. So spatial data का मतलब क्या हुआ? Where you have latitude, longitude, or a location value is attached, right? So here, how do we define or how do we say this is the location of this particular position or object or material? So we need to have some kind of a standard. So that we will see slowly. What reference we are using and why we are using. So those things we will cover in this lecture. Now let us go with this map. I hope you all remember my initial lecture where I have explained the analog and digital photograph. ठीक है, एनालॉग फोटोग्राफ और डिजिटल फोटोग्राफ याद करो. लेक्चर 1 जो हमारा था उसमें ही मैंने उससे स्टार्ट किया था. So here you can see this is your analog map where all the objects or materials have been highlighted by using the different colors. So this anybody can prepare, right? But when we are talking about the digital map, you can see here, जब हम digital map की बात करते हैं, you can see it here. So all these areas have been captured by your satellite. So where the elements, the smallest element of this particular map will be a pixel, right? And when we are involved in remote sensing from space or maybe airborne sensor, then we have one DN value, and with this DN value, you have latitude and longitude. So these three values will be there in your data. So that gives the strength to the GIS, where we always consider spatial data. Spatial data should have latitude, longitude, or some location values. Okay. So mapping GIS environments are used for digitizing, scanning of existing maps. So in case if you want to generate a digital map from the analog map, so let us consider you have visited a field and you have drawn some feature, and with the location values measured by global positioning system, that is GPS, and that you have produced in a hard copy. Then I need not go and visit that place. I can simply use your map. I can scan it, and then I can geo reference that map using the latitude, longitude measured by you, and I can produce the digitized or scanned map, right? And if you have a raster map, where do you have all these different objects, where in GIS you have a flexibility, you can overlay a vector layer here, and you can make a polygon by tracing these features. So ultimately, you are going to reproduce this result in the vector form. So that is known as digitization. So by digitizing, you can convert this raster data to vector data. जब हम digitize करते हैं, तो हम raster data को vector data में convert करते हैं. In raster data, what you do? Digitize का मतलब raster data को हम vector data में convert करते हैं. तो in raster data you have pixel, आपको ये बताया, बड़ी common term है. और vector data में you have point, line and polygon. So next one is querying map. So considering you have 10 different layers in the GIS environment, where one component is, let us say, population ले लेते हैं, और दूसरा है available drinking water, ठीक है, और third one is available shopping mall, और चौथा है हमारा what is the rain in that particular area. So if you have all these information, you can easily find which place is good for you to find a new home. ठीक है, यहाँ से हमको clear हो जाएंगी, right? So you can just run a query, show me very good drinking water quality or the available drinking water plus low rain plus less populated area plus less available marketplace. So that will give you a result, or that will highlight a location where you can simply go and find your new house. So this is one of the example how we can use this GIS for our day-to-day life problem, display the results of remote sensing and GIS operation. So as I told you, all the map which has been generated using a remote sensing data, that has to be undergo through this GIS process, right? Execute and support the visual analysis. And remember, maps are not only the final product. There are many other forms through which you can generate the result in GIS environment, right? Now let us see what are the different characteristics of a map. So map provides the answer to questions related to basic components of the geographic data, right? So basically, this is your graphical, this is in your graphical form. So this can give you geographic location, and it can have this thematic attributes like what is the population distribution in a particular area, what is the groundwater depth in some cities, what is the air pollution level. So those things, if you have as your theme and if you have an output in form of map, they are known as thematic map. Then time, so time is always an important parameter. So whenever you are producing a map, that time stamp should be there. Why? Because that says these parameter, whatever I have used in my map generation, that has been captured at particular location and point or time, right? So let us see what exactly this geographical location means. So geographical location से हम क्या समझते हैं? So here you can see this particular map where you have latitude also and longitude also written there. So if you want to find out what is the location of this particular point, you can easily find out by just extending these lines, and you can find out what is the value here and what is the value here, and then you can always find what is the location value for a given or for a your study area or for your object or material. So here it refers to a location of a place on the earth defined by the latitude, longitude. Longitude denotes east-west position of a geographic location which runs north and the south between two poles. Prime or Greenwich meridian is assigned zero line for longitude. Latitude denotes north-south position of a geographic location, also called parallel, and run perpendicular to longitude. Equator is assigned zero line for latitude. All the latitudes are parallel to each other. So these I have written in very layman language, so you can easily understand what exactly this latitude, longitude means and how they are varying. And remember, they are perpendicular to each other, so they have the variation in different direction from each other. Then when we say, हम जब कहते हैं कि thematic maps or thematic attributes attached to a particular map, so what exactly it means? So it refers to a particular theme, जैसे rainfall temperature, human characteristic like population health, etc. of mapping. So here this is one example. There is another example of the thematic map. So here this is annual mean temperature of India, right? This is another annual mean rainfall map of India, and this is the elevation zone map of India. तो यहाँ पे हमारे पास बेसिकली आप देख सकते हैं तीन चीजें हैं: एनुअल मीन टेम्परेचर ऑफ इंडिया, एनुअल मीन रेनफॉल ऑफ इंडिया, एंड एलिवेशन जोन map of India, right? So these are the thematic maps because each of them are having different theme or different information. So in the next example we have this three map. ठीक है, तो एक बार एक चीज मैं आपको दिखाता हूँ. See, you can see in 1992 and 1988 how this river was behaving. ठीक है, whereas in 2002 and 1988 how it is behaving with respect to 88 in 2014, how it has changed its course. So this basically explains how this particular river is meandering. So here basically again it explains the theme. So this is related to hydrogeomorphic problem. So here if you have such information, you can predict or you can extend this behavior of this river to predict in which direction it may safe in coming 5 rivers. Now the next important parameter in your map is the time, right? So let us see this one at January. Okay, January, Feb, March, April, May, and this is also of the May, right? So how this area is getting changed. So the seasonal behavior is also very important when you are involved in the agriculture, forestry, or water related problem. I hope by now you are familiar with this standard false color composite. So ये जो red color है, basically it represents the vegetation in your study area. So here you can see how this color, ये जो रेड कलर है ये बेसिकली किसको रिप्रेजेंट कर रहा है? वेजिटेशन को रिप्रेजेंट कर रहा है. Here, so here you can see how this red color is changing through all these years. So this gives you very important information about your problem through the time. So the next important parameter of this map is how do we represent our values. So in case if you have population data for our city, just for example Gorakhpur, how do you represent it in the next very important parameter of this map is the visualization of the value. कैसे आप उसको represent करते हो, कैसे उसको आप visualize करते हो. So how do you explain or how do you represent the densely populated area or very less populated area in a single map? So you need to use some convention so that people can understand or we can understand it very easily. Okay. So here we can see that these values are actually changing with the different places. So map actually offers abstract representation of reality. So first one is simplified, then classified, and then symbolized. Okay. So all these three different types you can use to represent your data. You can use to represent your data in a map. ठीक है. तो यहाँ पे आप just see one thing that there are three things: simplified, classified, and symbolized. ठीक है. Here I am representing it: simplified, classified, and symbolized. उसके बाद जो next part है, so maps are the representation at a scale that already you have gone through. So I have explained you all different types of scale in lectures. So now the scale is basically, I have told you the ratio between the distance on the map and corresponding distance on the ground. So here I am talking about this scale of this map. So here you have a map and this is the scale where it says 1 centimeter is equal to some x kilometer or a meter. Okay. That means this particular scale can be used to identify or to measure the distance between the two places or the other geometric parameters within this particular map. So how this is going to help you when you are having all the digital data? So basically here, this is scale is important when you are going to print this particular map and you are going to keep it away from for a few years. So after 5 or 10 years, what will happen? The paper will shrink and then simultaneously this scale will also get shrunk. So then this scale and this map is shrinking together. So this scale can be used to identify even after 10 years or 20 years. So that is why we always put a scale bar in our output map. So next important parameter is how we represent our data, right? So you can use some shapes to symbolize the different parameter within a map. So here you can see for a given area, यहाँ पे आप देख सकते हैं, you have this, okay, different shapes are there. You have this, and this one, right? So all these things will be listed in your legend. So what exactly star means, what exactly this circle means, that will be there in your output map. So it is good for qualitative representation of each shape symbolizes a specific type. Then you can use the thickness of the line that also helps to represent your data. So this is also for a qualitative differences. Now the next is your color blue. ठीक है. अब एक स्लाइड में देखो, यहाँ ब्लू कलर है. ठीक है. Where you can use this different colors or different intensity of the color, but here not only one single color is different in different intensity, that will fall under the next category. So you can see here this is also for the qualitative analysis. Then the color value here you can use to represent your quantitative data. So like this may be 10, this may be 20, or in a scale you can put how it is changing, right? So the next is the color intensity, right? So next is the color intensity. तो यहाँ तक आपको समझ में आ गया होगा कि डेटा का विजुअलाइजेशन हम कैसे करते हैं. तो डेटा का विजुअलाइजेशन जो है वो कलर से भी करते हैं और सिंबल से भी करते हैं. अब नेक्स्ट स्लाइड में देखते हैं डेटा का विजुअलाइजेशन, द कैरेक्टरिस्टिक ऑफ द मैप, और उसमें हम देखेंगे कलर की इंटेंसिटी. ओके. So the color intensity can also be used as the previous one. So where I have shown you different scales, so here you can also put a scale of a single color, and this you can use for the qualitative और quantitative also. उसके बाद intensity के बाद है हमारा texture, right? So texture, because I am telling you all this because whenever you are preparing a map in GIS environment, you may have a number of input data sets, right? So you have to highlight all the parameters coming from the different maps in your output. So for that, you may need different from you may need different types of or the different convention to highlight all the parameters, and that should be independent from each other. So there may not be any what to say doubt between this and this. So इन दोनों के बीच में जो कलर इंटेंसिटी है और जो हमारा टेक्सचर है, इसमें ये दोनों चीजें अलग हैं. इन दोनों के बीच में कोई ऐसा डाउट नहीं होना चाहिए आपको, राइट? So there may not be any doubt. So immediately, if I see this color and the legend, I should not get confused with this. So if you are using this texture, you can use for both qualitative and quantitative data. So this is the summary. So you can see the shape can be used for the qualitative size. You can use. So the biggest size may represent a high population or the high or the very bad air pollution level, and this may be lightest one, right? So दूसरे साइड को देखते हैं. Now here it may be the safest zone, this may be the danger zone. So depending upon your application, you can use all these conventions or all these different types of shape, size, color intensity, texture to represent your data in your map. So here this is one is a simplified map. अब simplified map ये है आपका. So this is one of your simplified map. This is your classified and simplified. So you can see all these data sets. So in symbolized and classified, you can see this result, and I hope you remember my classification technique lecture. So this is basically coming from that side only. So all these colors will be listed in your legend, and each legend will explain what parameter or what class you are representing with this particular color. Now, there is one question. You might have seen this kind of figure in internet. So whether this is good representation or bad representation, or whether it is a good representation of your earth, so what will be your answer, yes or no? So that is no. Forget all about the boundary conflict. So I'm not going to use this is as any country specific. So here just I wanted to show that if you put some colors or textures, that does not mean it is a map. Now see this. Now see, you have to see this particular map. Okay. So what do you feel about this? So here you have some more information from the previous map. So here you have location, which is in the form of latitude, longitude. So definitely this map is better than the previous one. Here you can easily find out the position of any given location, right? So this kind of representation is expected in your output map. So let us see what reference system we are following to represent this whole world in the latitude, longitude, because there should be some convention by which we are identifying a particular location or position. So for that, we always refer our Earth as a spheroid or ellipsoid. Let us see. When we consider our Earth as spheroid, what happens, and when we consider it as spheroid, what happens? So spherical Earth model represent the shape of the Earth with a sphere of a specified radius, right? You might have seen this kind of figure many places. Okay, so here basically this gives you the latitude and this is the parallel. Okay, so this is your equator. यहाँ पे एक आपका ये आपका इक्वेटर है, तो पैरेलल होता है, और ये आपका लैटिट्यूड है, राइट. So how it is moving, it is shifting from here to here, and how it is varying in this direction, whereas this is varying in this direction, right? So spherical earth models are often used for the navigation and for global distance approximation, may be used for the courses scale map, because as we know our earth is a not a spherical model, right? So it has to be different from sphere. So that is why we have shifted ourselves to ellipsoid, and where this is actually best representing our earth, where we can have this prime meridian. You can see here equator longitude, again it is coming in this direction, right? So it requires for accurate range and bearing the calculation over long distances. So this is more accurate when we are considering a spherical earth model that was used for global approximation. So very coarse scale maps can be generated when we want to find out very minute or very places and exact location of that, then we should go for the ellipsoid. So the radio, sand, GPS navigation. Okay, just wait a second. So the radio and GPS navigation receiver uses the ellipsoid Earth model to compute the position and weigh out information. So let us see, when we consider Earth as an ellipsoid, what parameter or what are the details we consider in that. So ellipsoid is a 3D figure obtained by directional scaling or through a transformation of a sphere. The best of these models can represent the sphere of the Earth over the smooth average sea surface to within about 100 meters. So you can see this particular figure. So this is our Earth, and these are the pole and equator. And when we see semi-minor axis and major axis, so basically the major will have the greater value. So if you see which one is my minor or major, suppose this is your ellipsoid. Okay, so this is your ellipsoid. You see here. So this is your semi-minor axis, and here this is your semi-major axis, right? So in this ellipsoid model, it is very important to estimate the flattening. And what is flattening? Flattening is a measure of the compression of a sphere along a diameter to form an ellipsoid, and eccentricity, that is E, is a measure of how much the conical section deviates from being circular. Okay, so flattening can be calculated using this formula, and for WGS84 value, this is the given value, right? And eccentricity is basically 2f minus f square, and the WGS84 value is this much. If you want to understand more about this ellipsoid, so let us understand about the topography and what are the mathematical surface we are assuming here. So this is the topography. So I hope you are able to see this. So this is basically your topography, and now this is known as a small h, and this is the semi-major and semi-minor axis, A and B, and this is the geocenter. So this is the reference ellipsoid are identified by the semi-major and semi-minor axis. Now here again, this topography you can assume here. So this topography, small h, you are familiar with now. Now, when we consider our Earth as an ellipsoid, still it is not getting fit with this particular topography. When we consider this ellipsoid to represent our Earth's surface, so this is not fitting with our topography. So for which we need an additional imaginary ellipsoid, which can represent our topography in a better way. So for that, if you draw this kind of ellipsoid here, that may give you a better fit than this global ellipsoid. So that is the benefit when you are having local ellipsoid. So for all the countries, this local ellipsoid are different. So when you are having more undulation, your local ellipsoid size should be very small. There is another important concept in the GIS, and that is known as geoid. So that is known as geoid, the equipotential surface of the Earth's gravitational field, which could coincide with the ocean surface if Earth were undistributed and without the topography. So that will be exactly matched with your sea surface. Geoid model attempt to represent the surface of the entire Earth over both land and ocean as the surface resulted from the gravity alone. So here the gravity stream throughout this geoid line. This is what was highlighted here. The gravitational field which could coincide with the ocean surface. That means this is the equipotential gravity line. So here if you see, this is the topography, right? And if you have an ellipsoid here, and this will be the geoid. So it doesn't matter which ellipsoid you use it, cannot be better than your geoid, because the geoid can pick up the local variation because it is based on the gravity. So this ellipsoid and geoid both are important to represent or to model our surface, and then we will ultimately use some referencing system to identify a given position. Okay, now I will show you one more example. Let us assume this is topography here, and here you have equator ellipsoid surface, and this is a point for which I want to measure the height. So that reference will be from geoid, because the sea surface level is our base level, right? So if you see the major and minor axis here, so the major is A and minor axis is B. Now here if you draw a line or perpendicular, you can see here this is your H, which I expressed in the previous slide. So here if you know, this is the H and this is the latitude and this is longitude, right? Now how do we use this particular concept to identify a height for a given point? So I hope you are able to see this particular topography here. Now this is the ellipsoid and this is the topography, right? You can see these lines. Now I want to estimate the height for this point P, and the distance between the ellipsoid and the point P is a small h, and this is the geoid. So from geoid again, you may have this height. So from ellipsoid, you have a small h. From geoid, you have a capital H, and the distance between geoid and the ellipsoid is capital N. So you can use this particular equation to estimate the orthometric height. So this edge, which is basically from the geoid to your position, that is your orthometric height, is small h. Basically from your ellipsoid, capital N is the distance between your geoid and ellipsoid. So this is known as geoid height. So geodetic height is the height of a point on the physical surface of the Earth above or below the ellipsoid, measured along the line that passes through the point on the Earth and is normal to the surface of the ellipsoid. So this is what we have seen here. So this was related to the height estimation of a given point using this ellipsoid and geoid. So that it was all for this lecture. I hope this is clear to you all. So we will end this part here only. Okay, so this is all about the introduction to GIS part. We have covered in part 1, part 2, and part 3 respectively. I hope if you have any doubt, you can write directly to me at ankur495@bit.ac.in, or you can put your query in the comment box also. So this was for the day. Thank you so much. Have a nice day.